All right, guys, we're short on time because of the early dismissal. We lose 5 minutes, so we need to go ahead and get started with what we're doing in class. So I'm going to initiate our bell work. So tomorrow we have a bell work quiz, so make sure that you're keeping track of and reviewing your bell work assignments over the past week or so that you're well prepared for that. Sound good? Question number 1, as for our 6 themes. A good review question. Let's go one at a time. Ms. Rosinski, you got one of them. Material culture is a good guess. That was the part of our 6 types of culture from yesterday's notes. So you're looking at your notes from yesterday, which is good, but this one goes back a little bit farther. Ms. Hoffman? No? I got to do something with your guys' names so I can remember them a little bit better. We'll do that maybe a little bit later. Ms. Kaufman? Stereotyping is one of them. Cameron? Human rights. Stu, Greta?
We are more similar than different.
More similar than dissimilar. Very good. Hans Rosling, Dollar Street stuff. Ms. Bloomer? Ethnocentrism. Hadley? Active nonviolence. Active nonviolence. We got one more. That's 5. Cameron?
We are
interconnected and interdependent. There are no longer geographical boundaries that separate us from other people around the world. Because of technology and because of advancements in transportation, those things just do not separate us like they used to, okay? Question number 2. Individualistic countries, 3 of them. We talked about individualism and collectivism yesterday. We need 3 of them. Drew, give me one of them. United States cares more about the individual than the group, celebrates the achievements of the individual over the group. Okay, got another one, Miss Barnes.
Canada.
Canada, and the third one, Miss Oakes.
Great Britain.
Great Britain, very good. Okay, situations you can think about LeBron James, right? Celebrating him. Think about Brexit with Great Britain separating themselves from the European Union, right? Collectivistic countries. We said 3 of those. 3 collectivistic countries. Miss Bailey. Russia's a good guess. It's a good guess. It could be considered a little bit more collectivist, but wasn't one of our 3 examples. I wouldn't say that they're an individualistic country by any means, so you're probably right. But what are the 3 examples that we had yesterday? Miss Mary? Japan was one of them. Miss Zobrist? India is another one. Miss Folks? China, right? And we talked about the World PIN Code a little bit yesterday, or mentioned it. Anybody remember Hans' World PIN Code? Mr. Bloomer?
Isn't it 1113?
1113 is close. 1114, right? And so the 4 applies to Asia and primarily Southeast Asia. So our 3 examples of India, China, and Japan are all in that 4, which tells us there's a lot of people out there in the world today that live in a collectivistic culture that prioritizes the group over the individual. So that means there's a lot of conformity going on in those cultural environments. Number 4, all cultures tend to. In this section of our notes yesterday, I said that you could stop writing and writing things down. So let's see how much we retain there. All cultures tend to do what? Does anybody remember what we did yesterday? Mr. Bloomer?
Wasn't it? I can't remember.
It's all right. It's all right. Yes.
What they're doing is right.
Exactly.
What
Is wrong, right? We have all cultures, all people from all cultures tend to believe what they do inside of their culture is natural, and what other people do is unnatural. So which theme of global cultures does that reflect? Hadley? Natural versus unnatural? Somebody help us out? Ms. Zobrist? Ethnocentrism. You're going to say it, right? Right on the tip of your tongue. All right. So all cultures tend to believe what they do in their culture is right for everybody, right? That was the second one. And the example that we shared in class was democracy. Right? We said that in our American cultural system, we have democracy, and we think so much of democracy, we think it should be good for everybody. So if people are being deprived of some type of democratic system, sometimes we say, let's make it available to them, and we change the political system up. We actually go and sometimes we invade, and we change things up a little bit there. Okay. Number 3, the third one, all cultures have a tendency to be defensive in that they think that people outside of their culture are going to try to get the best of them, right? We use the idea of like the sci-fi analogy of us coming into contact with aliens. I guess aliens could be friendly people, but our assumption is that they're going to get the best of us, right? They're here to, take over the world and eliminate us as inhabitants on the earth, right? A little sci-fi stuff for you. All right, does anybody have any questions about our bell work? Remember, bell work quiz tomorrow. We're going to take a moment, and you got your colored pencil. We're going to do some little reflection on our notes, okay? This is what I call adding another layer to your notes from yesterday. We're focused primarily on yesterday's notes, starting with the stuff that we had at the beginning on, what was that very beginning of the notes? What's the first thing you have written down? What is it, Greta? Yeah, what is God? Starting from that, going all the way back to the main means by which we acquire the norms of our culture through social media. So everything in between, that and everything in between, you're doing a little bit of reflection and adding another layer. So you need to reread through this, give you about a minute or so to do this, a couple minutes to do this. And if something comes to mind as you read through it, you need to jot it down in the margins, add another layer with this different colored pencil. I'll give you an example. Okay. So the third component, where it says all cultures tend to, right, get defensive and think other people are out to get them. I use the example of aliens. Okay. Maybe you've seen a movie in which there's other applications that you could make, other connections. I had an image up there with the situation between cowboys and Indians, right? Seems like they're always in conflict with one another, okay? Kind of exemplified that idea. So what you would do is, in the margin, you would write something about that, or write down those notes, or write the statement, this reminds me of. Like, this particular note reminds me of this scenario. Sound good? So the more connections that you make, the longer it's going to stick in your brain. So we want to make our notes colorful, is what I'm trying to imply here. I'm going to give a little bit of time to work and to manipulate your notes from yesterday. Sound good? Go ahead. Make it your own. All right, I want you to take about 30 seconds and share with the person behind you what you did, manipulating your notes. Show them how colorful it is.
It could be like
What was that was the elite one, so fencing and the like horse jumping thing. Fencing. And then I cracked the equestrian thing. Yeah. That was the elite one, so that was.
All right, colored pencils back in the middle of the room, please. Colored pencils back in the middle. Get your word of the day out.
I know.
All right, today our word of the day is foment. Foment. Foment's probably a word you don't use all that often. So sometimes with our word of the day words, what I challenge you with is some point in time, like we add another layer to our notes. Sometime today or this evening, try to throw the word of the day in there in a sentence in your conversation with somebody. Okay? And don't do it in the way that, hey, today our word of the day was yada yada. Try to use it in context. Try to context for it. Our synonyms: incite and agitate. Antonym: calm. If the dictator thinks you are trying to foment turmoil, incite or create turmoil in order to start a rebellion, he will have you executed on national television. Now, they didn't have television back in this day and age. It says, if you can't read it, to the Bastille. Anybody know what that's a reference to? What historical event that would be? Hadley? I'll give you another hint. It's associated with the guillotine. You guys ever heard of a guillotine before? Right? You drop it and it detaches one head from the rest of their body. Anybody know what I'm talking about now?
Yes.
What historical event? It's the French Revolution, is what it is. Okay. French Revolution. The Bastille. How does that relate to the French Revolution? The Bastille is a big building that it's like really a prison, and it's used for some other things. At that time, it housed a lot of ammunition, guns, cannons, those type of things. So for the revolutionaries, they didn't have any of that stuff, so they needed it in order to complete their revolution. So they stormed the Bastille, right? And that initiated the French Revolution. So today in France, we have Independence Day, right? July 4th. Well, in France, they have Bastille Day, right? The day that reflects upon the start of the French Revolution. Okay? One more synonym: incite and agitate. Ms. Barnes? Was that? Annoy. Annoy is a good one.
Trigger be a good one?
Yeah, trigger could work as well. Yeah. Incite, agitate, annoy. Part of speech. Drew.
a verb.
Yes, it is. It is a verb. Antonyms. You got the calm. Is Oaks?
Peaceful?
Well, peaceful would be more of an adjective, right? Let's see if we got verbs here. I guess you could say pacify. I think that is pacify. Like Pacify could be a verb. Miss Kaufman, you got one more? No? Yes, Miss Rosenzi.
Relax.
To relax. To calm, to pacify, to relax. All right, our sentence context. We're going to jump ahead a little bit to what we're focusing on today. Class, I'm going to give you a little bit of time to peruse, to look at a couple of maps. Where are you going to find these? We're going to go to the global cultures. And you're going to click on Africa. got them underneath Africa here. So click on Africa.
I can't do that.
Here you have the links to the map quiz that you are encouraged to be studying on a daily basis or every other day in anticipation of our map quiz next Wednesday. But down at the bottom, it's got 2 links. It says 40 cool maps to learn about the world. That one's a good one. And then the other one says 18 maps that will change how you see the world. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to look at these maps, and then we're going to use them. We're going to discuss it just a little bit, but use them as our context for our sentence today. Okay? You can go ahead and write, or go ahead and look at those maps. Again, looking at the maps, you only got a few moments here.
Tomato, tomato, tomorrow, tomorrow. Hi, this is Paul Sherman. Apparently, I mispronounced that word according to Larry and pretty much everybody else. Duh. My marketing team even started spelling.
Alright, go ahead and share with the person next to you a map that jumps out to you that you found interesting. Go ahead and have a short discussion.
Mine was where
people are immersed in these like cool names.
homicide.
Oh my, this is the best and worst places to be born.
Where people smoke the most
Illinois.
is very rare in person.
Some of them are really
Alright, I want to start off with this one for a second because I think it works really well with our foment word. It's down at the bottom of the BuzzFeed one. It says a map showing the results of a survey asking the world who they see as the biggest threat to world peace. And you can see that what flag is all over this map.
America.
Yeah, it's the American flag. And a lot of times, I don't think that we wake up every morning with this realization at the forefront of our mind, right? We don't think of ourselves as being a threat or the biggest threat to world peace, but evidently people outside the United States do. Okay. Now this is a little bit dated. It's probably about 10 years old, but it definitely gives us a good idea of the world in which we live today. Now, the United States, it's got a different flag there. We don't think of ourselves as being the greatest threat to the world. But who does that flag represent? Anybody take a guess? Colton? Russia's a good guess. Miss Mars?
China.
Nope, not China. Miss Brzezinski?
Poland.
Nope, I'll give you a hint. It begins with an I. It begins with an I. Yes, Hadley? Not India. Good try, yes? Miss Brzezinski?
Iraq.
Iraq, you're close. It's actually Miss Greta. Iran. Okay? Talking about the development of nuclear weapons and those type of things. Okay? So, it may have changed since this map was created, but Iran at that time from our perspective, the greatest threat to world peace. Okay. Anybody got one more map that we can discuss real quick before we write our sentence that jumped out at you that you thought was fascinating? Miss Barnes.
Places like the worst and best places to be born.
Yeah, best and worst places to be born. And what countries did well there?
America did the best.
Did the best, right?
Yeah.
So we scored well. We scored well on a lot of these. There are some that we don't score very well on. From what I see, an overview of all the maps, the one country that I think does really, really well on a lot of them is Canada. Canada seems to do really well on a heck of a lot of them there, okay? But in this particular case, Hans Rosling actually talks about this stuff, best and worst places to be born, right? Infant mortality is a rate or a statistic that he talks about a lot, okay? And that relates to that particular one, and we have pretty good ones. It's not bad. Actually, Cuba's got a better infant mortality rate than what we do, which is kind of confusing. We'll explain that a little bit later on in this semester, but we do all right. We do all right. All right, go ahead and take some kind of content from one of the maps, and go ahead and write your sentence. It's got to be a compound sentence. Make sure you got a comma and a conjunction, and make sure that you have a subject on the second half of your sentence to make it a true compound sentence. Don't make that mistake and leave off the subject on the other side. I'll give you a second to do that, okay? All right, go ahead and share your sentence, person in front, person behind you. Make sure that you're checking for the compound sentence. Check that they got foment in there. And then identify their conjunction that they use, and or but.
I said America's biggest threat is Iran. Mormons, people that live in America.
There's not a common.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, super
She'd be a little bit pumped up with it.
Or
I was gonna say that.
All right, Miss Cheyenne, what you got? Everybody listen, please. Go ahead.
Australia was fomented with America, but America didn't think about it.
All right, everybody see that? It's got a compound sentence. Australia was fomented with America. That could stand on its own. And then she got comma, but, yada, yada, yada. On the second, another part of the sentence that could stand on its own. Sound good? So that's what makes up the compound sentence. All right, no notes here, but I want to do a little activity, review 3 types of maps before we get into the handout that you picked up on the way in, okay? First 3, I want to explain what they are. Now, there are many different types of map. I just want you to get a basic understanding of 3 types of maps. Sound good? We're going to start with this one. It's a topographical map, sometimes called a contour map. We're probably going to reference it as a contour map because of the contour lines, okay? If you ever see a map that's got lines like this all over it, it's a dead giveaway. It's a contour map. And what it does, it shows relief. Relief is another word in geography terms to show rise and fall of elevation. Sound good? Rise and fall of elevation. So you can see that this is rising up in elevation. So you have a high point here, a high point here, a fairly high point here, and maybe a little bit higher point there in comparison to its surrounding areas. You can see that it's volcanoes, right? It's actually of an island of Hawaii, okay? This is what you call a political map. Political maps are known for identifying man-made boundaries. Man-made boundaries. So governments come along and they say, this is ours. This is in our possession. This is what we control. Sound good? A lot of times political maps, you're going to see them in different colors. Okay, very distinct separation from this particular area to this particular area. Okay, now sometimes with the political maps they will follow geographical boundaries like a mountain range or like a river, but the map itself will be different colors like that. This is what you call a physical map. Okay, physical maps show changes in elevation. They show different geographical features such as mountains, rivers, lakes, other bodies of water. A lot of good stuff there. Easy way to remember what the physical maps are. Look over here on the wall. It's actually labeled World Physical Map. Sound good? The darker the red color, that's the higher the elevation. So you can see, what's this mountain range here? Out west. That would be the Rocky Mountains. Yeah, great place to visit. There's another small mountain range through here. Anybody know what that one's? There's the Smoky Mountains down here in East Tennessee, but the whole range is called the Appalachian Mountains. Okay? These down here, the Andes Mountains. These over here, the Himalayan Mountains. Okay? So we've got an opportunity to learn quite a few things, evidently, this semester and next semester. This would be a political map because you see the different shades of gray for the large continents. There are 7 continents. Want to make sure that you guys are aware of that there's 7 continents. Because sometimes I get students that don't know that there's 7 continents. North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, and Antarctica, and Australia there. Africa is a continent. Africa is not a country. Okay, want to make sure that that's a problem that we usually run into. China is not a continent. China is a country. Okay. All right, let's review. Raise a hand. What type of map is this? Raise a hand. What type of map? Ms. Kaufman. It's a political map. Got man-made boundaries of states. What kind of map is this? Raise a hand. Ms. Good. That's a contour map with contour lines. What type of map is this? What would that be? Ms. Cheyenne. That's a political map. Countries of the world. This one right here. What we got, Hadley? That's a physical map. Looks very similar to this map over here. What about this one right here? What we got, Greta? It's a physical map. This one here, Ms. Barnes.
I don't think, I know which one it is.
Yes, Colton. Contour map, contour lines. This one here, Drew.
World physical.
It's a physical map. Yep. This one here. We got Genesis. Say it again. It's not a physical map. Good try. You guys again. It is another one that begins with a P. Cameron.
Political.
It's a political map because it's got man-made boundaries there. All right. All right. Hopefully that helps us out. Let's get our handout out. We're going to start with the side with the blanks. Side with the blanks. We're going over some common terms associated with maps. Okay. Spend most of my time over here on the map. Next to the map. On the map, first off, I want you to take note of there are light blue lines that are going this way and light blue lines that are going this way. And that's what we're going to focus on for a second. The purpose of those lines is to be able to use coordinates, numbers to locate locations on a map. Okay. Number 1, it says lines of latitude. These are lines that lay on their sides. Lines of latitude lay on their sides. So you got the LA and latitude, and you got the LA and lay on their sides. Sound good? So all these blue lines that go straight across here, those are lines of latitude. Lay on their side, like you're laying down and sleeping. Okay? They are also known as parallels. Parallels. They are parallel to one another as they go across the map. Parallels. There's one that's really important, probably more so than any other. We use it as our baseline and our foundation whenever it comes to locating places on a map. It's labeled 0 here. It goes right across the middle, and that would be what? Yeah? That's the equator. Okay? It's a good reference point. Lines of longitude. These are the lines that go up and down. Up and down on the map. Vertically. They are also known as, to help us out to remember what these lines are, these lines of longitude, and what they're also called. There's a one that's labeled the 0, and it goes right down here. It's got a specific name. Anybody know the name of that one? 0. It's called the, yes? Tropic Cancer is a good guess. We're going to get to that one a little bit later. Yes? Prime meridian. Right? The prime meridian. So all of these lines are now known, if it's the prime one, all the lines of longitude are known as meridians. Sound good? Everything that goes up and down are meridians. Longitude, this one's really important, so they call it the prime meridian. Okay, labeled 0. 66.5 degrees north. So if I go from the equator and I go north, I gotta go up, so that's north. They got numbers on the side. Here's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 66.5. It's got a dotted line here, all the way across. That is what you call, inside of that, the Arctic Circle. Okay? The Arctic Circle. There's different reasons for the Arctic Circle. And I think one of them is if you get above the Arctic Circle in like December, it's usually towards the end of December, like December 20th, around that time, you will have no light for the entirety of the day because of the angle of the Earth away from the sun. But in June, the opposite happens, right? You will have no darkness, so it'll stay light all day long. Sound good? So it's a little bit different there. 66.5 degrees south. We go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 66.5. Got another dotted line down here. So that would be what? You got the Arctic Circle up here. It is, Hadley? Antarctic Circle down there. Antarctic Circle. So the same thing happens down here as it does up there, right? Because it tilts at the Earth's axis. But it's the opposite. So in December, this is sunny. And then in June, it's dark down there.
No, but you said the opposite.
Yep. So up here in December, it's dark. Right? June is light. Down here, December it would be light, and then June it would be dark. Okay. There are a couple other lines. So you got 66.5 degrees. These are not in your notes. Maybe I'll write them maybe at the bottom in that space down there. 23.5. So you said the Tropic of, what did you say? Cancer, right? So we got equator 10, 20, 23.5 degrees north. The Tropic of Cancer. Sound good? You may want to label that one, put that one on the note down at the bottom. 23.5 degrees north of the Tropic of Cancer, and then 23.5 degrees south. It's a dotted line here. It's the Tropic of, anybody know what the other one is? Hadley? Capricorn. Tropic of Capricorn. So we're going to watch a documentary here in a second, or in a couple weeks, called Guns, Germs, and Steel, and it's titled Into the Tropics. So life inside of these two lines is much different than life outside of these lines. Okay, the seasons are much, much different. You really only have 2 seasons inside the tropics. You have a dry season, you have a wet season. Okay? We have 4 seasons outside of the tropics. Much different. Okay. The International Date Line, it's located in the Pacific Ocean. What does it do? It's labeled 180 degrees. Right here, it's this black dotted line here, okay, in the Pacific Ocean. Over here, you can see it down there a little bit, right there, okay? So, what does it do? It actually initiates, it starts the day, is what it does, okay? So, time, actually, it starts here in like Japan. Japan are one of the first people to experience the day. And then the day comes across. We have a foreign exchange student from Spain, and they're a little bit ahead of us. Last hour they said it was like 5 o'clock there. And then it gets to us, and then eventually like to Hawaii. The Hawaiians are like one of the last people to experience the day. Okay? So for example, we're in the early afternoon, but Japan is actually thinking about, they're probably asleep right now and almost getting ready for tomorrow already. Sound good? The other thing to think about is what happens if you cross the date line. So it's Sunday on this side. Say you're in Alaska here, and it's Sunday, and you go this way, you fly across the date line. You've actually flown into the future, into Monday. Right? So if you're in Japan and you go to Hawaii over here, you actually go into the past that way. Again, it's all really relative. Sound good? But it's a line that starts today. Alright, types of maps. We looked at these already. The contour maps are the ones that show elevation. Contour maps. CONTOUR. The point underneath it, it also illustrates relief. 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 How flat and rugged land is. The second one, letter B, man-made features. That's our political map. Political map, man-made features, man-made boundaries. And letter C, the physical map, like we have here on the wall, shows natural features, natural boundaries. Physical map. All right, flip it over to the back side. This is your task for this evening to figure out these coordinates. Fairly simple task. I'm assuming that many of you have done this before, but we're going to do the first two together. All right. So 20 degrees south, 20 degrees east. This is how you do it. You've got to use the main reference points of the equator and the prime meridian. So if it says 20 degrees south, we're going to start with the equator. South is down. So 10, 20. So our line, or our point, is going to be somewhere along this line, 20 degrees. And then it says 20 degrees east. So I find the prime meridian, the 0, and I got to go east, which is to the right. I remember that because it's got Southeast Asia over here, so I know it's over here to the right, and I know that we live in the Western Hemisphere, we live in the Western world. I use that to remind myself. So 20 degrees, 10, 20. Is there a letter in the southern portion of Africa?
F.
F, so we put F down there. Let's do number 2 together, 20 degrees south and 100 degrees east. 20, again, we got 0, we're going to go south, so we'll go down, 10, 20, and 100 degrees east. So I got my prime meridian. I go east, so I go to the right. 100, it's way over here. It's actually in the water next to Australia. Is there a letter there?
Yeah,
A, so I write A down. I think a plane got lost right around that area a few years ago. Well, Bermuda's over here.
Yeah, so that would make it. It's a relative.
The same idea, like metaphorical. Bermuda Triangle over there in Indian Ocean. Questions? All right, I'll give you a little bit of time to work on that. I think we get out in just a few moments.